Good morning. I'm Police Chief Katrina Thompson of the Winston-Salem Police Department, and on behalf of the women and men of the Winston-Salem Police Department, I'd like to welcome you to the March 2021 Public Safety News Conference. Please note that we have not had a Public Safety News Conference since November of 2020, and as such, we will take this time to honor our fallen officers from the months of December, January, February, and March. Patrolman John Marston Sampson, end of watch, December 8th, 1940. Patrolman Sampson succumbed to injuries received 3 days earlier when his motorcycle struck a bread truck at 16th Street and Patterson Avenue while he was pursuing a speeding vehicle. Sergeant Leland Glenn Teague, end of watch, December 26, 1927. Sergeant Teague succumbed to gunshot wounds received 2 weeks earlier when he and several officers raided a home on Oak Street while searching for a suspect wanted for murdering a security guard. The suspect was apprehended and convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder. Police Officer Donald W. Allred, end of watch, January 3rd, 1983. Patrolman Allred succumbed to injuries received 5 days earlier when he was struck by a truck while investigating an automobile accident. Police Officer Robert Betrago, end of watch, January 15th, 1994. Officer Betrago was shot and killed while attempting to stop a robbery at a grocery store where he was shopping, despite being unarmed. The suspect was apprehended and sentenced to life in prison. Patrolman Michael Ray Jennings, end of watch, January 29th, 1993. Officer Jennings was killed when his car slid into a tree and burst into flames as he was driving down a steep hill. His partner was injured in the accident as well, but he did survive. Sergeant Howard J. Pluff, end of watch, February 23rd, 2007. Sergeant Pluff was shot and killed outside a nightclub after he responded to a call for help from Forsyth County Sheriff's deputies at approximately 2 a.m. 4 deputies were working off-duty security at a local nightclub when a fight broke out during a private party. The fighting moved outside the club and several shots were fired, one of which struck Sergeant Pluff. He was transported to Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, where he succumbed to his wounds approximately 21 hours later. The suspect was apprehended at a later date and charged with first-degree murder. Police Officer Stephen Levi Amos II, end of watch, February 28, 1995. Officer Amos was shot and killed while he and another officer were responding to a call of shots fired. Officer Amos and his partner were traveling to a training session when they heard a call for shots fired in a nearby apartment complex. Officer Amos drove his patrol car onto the street when they encountered sniper fire. He positioned the patrol car to block traffic and got out to take cover. As Officer Amos exited the patrol vehicle, the sniper fired and the round went through the car and struck him. other officers were able to move Officer Amos out of the line of fire and transport him to a local hospital where he succumbed to his wounds the next day. The suspect was quickly apprehended and charged with murder. Now, please join me in a moment of silence to honor these officers, as well as all the women and men across our country who's paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. I'd like to take this time to thank the women and men of the Winston-Salem Police Department for the service that you provide to our community every day. Your work is greatly appreciated and does not go unnoticed. Thank you. Upcoming events. Our next Fallen Officer ceremony will be held on Friday, April 23rd at 8:00 a.m. in front of the Public Safety Center. National Pill Take Back Program will be conducted on Saturday, April 24th between 10 a.m. and 2:00 p.m. at 635 Vine Street. Next up, from the Winston-Salem Police Department, you will hear from Sergeant Chris Dymont, who will talk about gun safety, and he will be followed by Captain Steve Tolley and Corporal Jackie Guest, who will discuss our real-time crime center. Sergeant Dymont.
Good morning. I'm Sergeant Chris Dymont of the Winston-Salem Police Department. I'm the supervisor over the Violent Firearms Investigation Team, or as we call it, VFIT. This morning I'm here to speak with you briefly about firearm safety and storage. The police department has recently begun to see an increase in the number of accidental shootings where an individual has had a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We have had approximately five incidents so far this year where a citizen has been manipulating a firearm and accidentally shot themselves. So that's the purpose of this press conference this morning for the gun safety and storage. Additionally, I wanted to speak briefly about access to firearms by juveniles. We have also, over the last year, encountered 60 incidents where a juvenile under the age of 16 has been in possession of a firearm and been considered a suspect or an offender in a crime with a firearm. So first I want to talk about just briefly the legal requirements for purchasing a firearm. To legally purchase a firearm, you need to be over the age of 18 to purchase a rifle or a shotgun. You need to be 21 years of age to purchase a handgun. To purchase a handgun, you will need a valid pistol permit or a carry concealed permit. Both of those can be obtained through the local sheriff's office of your county. Additionally, when you go to purchase a firearm, you'll need to have that permit with you at the firearms licensing dealer that you deal with. But you'll also have to complete a ATF, or it's called the BATF 4473 form. It's a federal form that you have to fill out at the firearms dealership at the time of purchase. These are some of the questions that will be asked on the BATF 4473, and these are the questions that you must fill out to show that you are an eligible purchaser of a firearm. They include not being indicted for a crime that's punishable for more than 1 year in prison, not being a fugitive from justice, not having any involuntary or mental commitment issues, not being dishonorably discharged from the military. Those are just some of the prime ones that you can refer to. And as you can see on the screen, there's several other form questions that you would have to fill out on that form as well and be able to answer. Once you've purchased that firearm, and this is the most important part of this, is there are 4 cardinal rules of gun safety. These rules apply to anyone from law enforcement to the private citizen to military. In our field training and in our basic law enforcement training, when we have handgun instruction, we are constantly going over the 4 cardinal rules of gun safety. They are: treat all firearms as if they are loaded. Never point a firearm at anyone or anything you are not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger and out of the trigger guard until you are ready to fire the weapon. And know your target and what is behind it. We find that if you stick to these 4 cardinal rules of safety, whether you're a police officer or whether you're a private citizen at home, when you're just trying to perform routine maintenance on the firearm, if you adhere to these 4 cardinal safety rules, the incidence of accidental shootings should decrease dramatically. Next, I wanted to talk about appropriately carrying a weapon. We want to make sure that if you are going to carry a weapon, that you use a holster. That's whether you're carrying it openly or in a concealed carry fashion. There are numerous places on the internet and businesses around that you can go to purchase a safe, secure firearm holster. The holster is very, very important, and it's the first line of defense for not having an accidental discharge of a weapon. If you have a good quality holster, it should prevent lots of those issues from occurring. Next, I wanted to talk about the actual storage of the firearm at your residence. So there are 3 main ways to store your firearm safely. The first is going to be a gun or a trigger locking mechanism. Most all firearms that you purchase now new from a licensed dealer will come with some sort of trigger lock or cable lock for your firearm. There will also be instructions included with the firearm to show you how to properly secure that firearm with the lock that's provided. If you have a firearm existing, the Winston-Salem Police Department offers its citizens free gun locks from the police department, and you can contact the police department to assist you in obtaining that gun lock. Additionally, we will show you how to utilize that gun lock. The next method is a gun storage case. These can be something that's very small that can range from $20 to $100, and you can get them at a lot of local dealerships here in Winston-Salem, as well as on the internet. What they recommend with this is simply using a padlock to secure the locking mechanism on that case to keep the gun safe and out of the hands of people that are not supposed to have the gun, namely juveniles. The final reason is going to be a gun safe. That's the actual heavy fireproof gun safes that you see in various dealerships throughout and advertised in local places. The final thing I did want to speak about is vehicles. Your vehicle is not a safe place to store your firearm. We do see a large increase in the number of firearms that we're encountering that have become crime guns that have been obtained by someone breaking into a vehicle or leaving a vehicle unsecured and a firearm being stolen from that vehicle. So we highly encourage you, please do not leave your guns in your vehicles. That is not a safe place to do it. Use one of the 3 previous methods that I mentioned to store your firearm to keep it safe from your children. Your vehicle is not that safe place. Next, I wanted briefly to just speak about North Carolina General Statute 14-315.1. That is the North Carolina General Statute governing the storage of firearms when you have a minor present in your residence. And there's really no easy way to go over this other than to read it verbatim to you for what it actually states. So any individual who resides with a minor who owns or possesses a firearm and stores or leaves that firearm in a condition that the firearm can be discharged and in a manner that the individual knew or should have known that an unsupervised minor would be able to gain access to the firearm is guilty of a misdemeanor if such minor gains access to the firearm without the lawful permission of the minor's parent or a person having charge of the minor, and the minor in turn possesses that weapon unlawfully on any campus or educational property in North Carolina, exhibits the weapon in a public place in a careless, angry, or threatening manner, causes personal injury or death with the weapon not in self-defense, or uses the weapon in commission of a crime. A minor is defined in this law as anyone under the age of 18 who is not emancipated. So that's a very important part of it here, is if you have a firearm and you do not have it secured in your residence and that minor uses that firearm in the commission of a crime, that is when you have now become guilty of this offense. So I want to reiterate, please use one of the methods that I've previously talked about for securing your firearm in your residence to prevent juveniles from gaining access to those firearms. As I said to begin the slide with, in the past year, we encountered 60 offenses where a juvenile under the age of 16 was the suspect or the offender in a firearm-related offense. So we really want to see those numbers cut down dramatically, as well as we also want to see the numbers of incidents where a juvenile obtains a firearm in the residence, playing with it, not knowing what's going on, and shooting another individual in their residence. Are there any questions about this? All right. Thank you very much. I'll now turn it over to Captain Steve Tolley.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Stephen Tolley, and I have the privilege of serving as the captain over our Criminal Investigations Division. Within the Criminal Investigations Division is a new entity that we developed within the last 6 months and put into operation. That is our Real-Time Crime Center. I want to introduce to you this morning Corporal Jackie Guest. Corporal Guest will be assisting me in sharing some information with you on the Real-Time Crime Center. And I want to specifically this morning, after we give a little overview of the Real-Time Crime Center and how it will aid us in serving the citizens of our community, I want to give some specific information about a camera registry program that's associated with the Real-Time Crime Center. That is a program that we introduced recently that we are enjoying tremendous success with, but unfortunately we're having a little misinformation put out on some of the social media sites that I want to clarify. But before I get into that, I'm going to invite Corporal Guest to our podium and ask her to share just a little bit of information with you about the Real-Time Crime Center and our camera program that serves under Fuseless. Corporal Guest.
Good morning. My name is Corporal Jackie Guest. I'm assigned to the CID Division Real-Time Crime Center. As Captain Tolley stated, the Real-Time Crime Center is a new unit that has been created in order to do exactly what it says, monitor crime in real time, and hopes to provide information to responding officers to the scene in order to more effectively solve the crime and more effectively apprehend the suspects. It's also our main goal is to be able to provide or protect the community and the businesses that we're responding to when a crime takes place. One of our, you got it, okay. So the mission of the Real-Time Crime Center, like I said, is to provide the agency with the ability to capitalize upon available technology and or resources to proactively support intelligence-led policing efforts and increase the overall safety of the community. Basically, all that's saying is we want to take advantage of the technology that businesses and residents have, cameras, and be able to get the information as officers are responding and provide that information to them in real time to more effectively respond to the call and more effectively apprehend the suspect. That's the main goal. The main camera platform, or the platform that we use, is called Fusus Technology. It's a video platform that basically just takes all of the cameras from a business or from a private citizen and puts them all into one database. So it makes it to where I don't have to go to 5 different locations to get camera feeds. I can just go to one location. So again, the goal of Fusus is to be able to put that all in one location so that we can look at it and provide the information as quickly as possible to the responding units to ensure the safety of our residents and our businesses.
Thank you, Corporal Guest, for that brief overview of the Real-Time Crime Center. In the coming weeks and months, we're going to be putting more information out on the Crime Center. Fusus is only one of multiple technologies that we plan to use as part of that approach to fighting crime. But this morning, I want to focus on Fusus, and I want to focus on two aspects of Fusus. Anytime we investigate a crime, one of the first areas of evidence that we search for is surveillance video footage of the crime in occurring. Prior to the development of the Real-Time Crime Center, for example, if we had a crime occur here in the 700 block of Cherry Street, we would be forced to dispatch detectives or officers to do an on-foot canvass of that block of Cherry Street and literally contact each business and resident within that block to determine if that residence or business had a surveillance camera system, to determine if that system was operable, and to determine if that system had any video footage of the crime that we were investigating. That evidence in most of our investigations is one of the most crucial pieces of evidence that we gather. But as you can understand, it is a time-consuming task for those officers to go out on foot to gather that information, particularly when you realize that many of these crime scenes expand multiple blocks within the city. Fusus allows us, and the camera registry system allows us to prepare for that event before it occurs. And there's two approaches to that. The first approach is the camera registry program. I'll direct your attention to the website that we have highlighted here on our slide. But I want to explain to you what the camera registry program is, and I want to dispel some misinformation about the camera registry program. The camera registry program is mainly focused to private citizens and their residences. And what it allows you to do as a resident of the city is to go online and register with us the fact that your residence has an operable surveillance camera system. It allows you to give us a contact number for you, and we place that information on a confidential list that is encoded and only accessible to us as law enforcement. In the unfortunate event that a crime occurs in the vicinity of your residence, one of the first steps we undertake is to review our registry program to find out who in the vicinity of that crime has a surveillance camera. We contact that list of individuals via email and make them aware that a crime has occurred in their community, the time the crime occurred, and we ask them to examine their own surveillance footage, their own surveillance camera, and determine if there's any footage of the crime we're investigating on that camera. If they find information or footage on that camera that's pertinent to our investigation, there's a link for them to electronically send that video footage to us. So as you can imagine, it's a tremendous tool for us in gathering that evidence quickly at the front of the investigation as opposed to the back. Some of the information that is being shared on social media incorrectly about this program is that it gives us the ability to remotely access these cameras and monitor these residences, and that is absolutely incorrect, and I want to come up here and make that clear to you. This simply gives us a list of homeowners who have a surveillance system that is operable, the location of that home, and a way to contact that homeowner if a crime occurs in their community. So it is in no way enables us to access that camera. The next thing I want to move on to is a little more in-depth, and that is our camera sharing program. And the existence of this program, I believe, is what has led to some confusion. Our Camera Connect sharing program is geared mainly toward commercial entities, malls, shopping centers, large businesses, and those things. As part of that program, we're reaching out to business owners who have security cameras primarily in public areas, parking lots, exterior of buildings, common interest ways, and those things. In this particular program, the business owner would register with us again that he or she has an operable security system as part of his or her business operation. This program does go a little further and is different from the residential program or the camera registry program in that if the business owner agrees to give us permission to do so, we can access some of those cameras. Traditionally and usually the cameras we ask for permission to get access to are cameras that cover public areas. For example, if I owned a large mall here in Winston-Salem and I had a surveillance system in the parking lot of that mall that covered the exterior of the mall, we with the Real-Time Crime Center would ask me for permission through this program to be able to access those cameras in that parking lot to aid us in monitoring what's going on in that parking lot and hopefully prevent a crime from occurring. But I want to stress to the business owners, our level of access is governed by their consent. They can put parameters on it. For example, they could deny overall access and simply say, I do want to share my video footage, but I only want my footage shared if I activate my robbery alarm or burglar alarm. In those instances, for example, if that's the level of consent provided by the business owner, the camera footage would only come to us real time in the event that the owner or an employee of the business activates the robbery alarm. And as you can imagine, that camera footage would be absolutely invaluable to us in responding real time to that crime in progress. I'm going to open the floor really quickly. I hope that information clarifies those two programs and alleviates any concern a member of the community might have about sharing video surveillance with us. The last thing I would say on that is, remember, we are governed by the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution against unlawful search and seizure. So a citizen giving us consent to a camera doesn't waive that citizen's rights to those protections. It simply allows us to more efficiently gather the evidence that we've always gathered in these investigations and catch these offenders more quickly. Is there any questions about that? Okay, thank you so much for your time. The last aspect of the Real-Time Crime Center that we have is our tip line, and I'm going to ask Corporal Guest to share just a little bit of information about that. We'll open it up one more time for questions, and we'll go from there.
So the Winston-Salem Police Department has also utilized through FUSIS the See Something, Say Something tip line. So this is an ability, a lot of people are very familiar with Crime Stoppers. It's similar in the sense that you send a text message, a picture, or a video of a crime that you witnessed take place to this telephone number, 336-276-1717. You can remain completely anonymous if you want to, or you can provide your demographic information so we can follow up with you. And then that information comes into the FUSIS platform where the detectives with the Real-Time Crime Center will review the tip that is received, and then we'll disseminate that information to the appropriate investigative unit. So it's just another way to get the information to us, and it's really great because you can send a photo or a video of a crime that you saw take place instead of just saying that you saw something.
I will close before I open up for any questions to tell you that although it's in the infancy stages, the Real-Time Crime Center has paid off tremendously for us already. Corporal Guest shared with me earlier this morning that we have seized 5 firearms that were used in crimes or possessed illegally here in Winston-Salem through efforts of the Real-Time Crime Center, that prior to the existence of that center, those weapons would not have been seized, and so they'd still be on our streets. So although we are a new program that's in the early stages, it's paying dividends already. Are there any questions I can answer for anyone? Okay, I thank you so much for your time. At this time, I would like to introduce Chief Mayo of the Winston-Salem Fire Department to the podium. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, I'm Trey Mayo. I'm the fire chief for the city of Winston-Salem. And we're going to start off this morning by recognizing a couple of line of duty deaths. The first from February 24th, 1911. This was actually the first line of duty death recorded by the Winston Fire Department. Joe Whitlow died shortly before, Joe Whitlow died on February 24th, 1911. And shortly before midnight, firefighter Whitlow responded with ladder 2 to a commercial building fire in the old Farmer's Warehouse, which was at that time located on the corner of Liberty and Trade Streets. Whitlow was killed as a result of a building collapse. He was 36 years old and left behind a wife and 4 children. And on February 10th, 1934, Lieutenant Gilbert Kimball responded with Engine 6 to a house fire at the corner of Bidding and Country Club Roads. On arrival, they found heavy fire conditions in a detached garage. Lieutenant Kimball and another firefighter entered the garage to conduct interior fire suppression operations. Both suffered injuries after a part of the heavy timber garage roof collapsed on them. They were both transported to Baptist Hospital for what were believed to be non-life-threatening injuries. However, Lieutenant Kimball succumbed to his injuries overnight on February 11th. He was 32 years old. If you will, please join me in a moment of silence for firefighter Joe Whitlow and Lieutenant Gilbert Kimball. Thank you. We were slated this morning to recognize Assistant Chief Harry Brown for receiving his Chief Fire Officer credential from the Center for Public Safety Excellence. Unfortunately, Chief Brown could not be here this morning, so we will do that in May. And so at this time, I'd like to have Fire and Life Safety Educator Sabrina Stowe come up, and she's going to talk about some spring safety tips.
Good morning. I am Sabrina Stowe, Fire and Life Safety Educator for the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Just want to go over a few things. We try to do this each year, each season, just mainly as reminders of things that we should be doing anyway. With spring literally being right around the corner, we want to take this time just to talk about some of the things that you may want to do as you're doing your spring cleaning in your home. We will start in the kitchen. Basically, what you need to do is to conduct a safety overview, check for fire hazards or situations in your kitchen that may be problematic, thoroughly clean your range, the range top, the coils of your stove if you have that, your oven. You want to make sure that you're cleaning any type of grease, cooking oils, or anything that can, lead to a fire. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen. Know where the fire extinguisher is located. Be sure that it is stored somewhere that's going to be away from the fire source in the event you need to use that, preferably somewhere near an exit if possible. If you determine that you cannot put out a small fire, that way you are exiting that area. Make sure you know how to use the fire extinguisher. That's going to be very important to know before an actual incident occurs. We are currently not doing the fire extinguisher training classes. Hopefully we'll resume those soon as part of our public education. We will keep you posted on once we're going to resume any of those types of trainings. If you have the fire suppression canisters, those are a very good idea. We talk about that a lot. You want to make sure people use those if you can. Those are going to provide a fire extinguisher basically that you don't have to use by hand. It's going to be installed over the cooktop. We have information on our website about the 2 brands that we recommend. Fire Stop is one of them, Auto Out is the other, and you can go to our website, cityofwsfire.org, for more information or links to those businesses. And you can also purchase those in some local home improvement stores. In the bathroom, want to remind you not to leave the dryer fan running for long periods of time. You don't want to have those to overheat and lead to a fire. Some other fire or more life safety types of things we want to talk about in your bathroom. Installing grab bars, young or old if you need those. Make sure you're using non-skid bath mats if you need those as well. In the laundry room, I want to talk about the dryer mainly, and making sure that you're cleaning out the lint traps. Also want to make sure that you're using those and not just running the dryer without them. Make sure the air exhaust vent pipe is not restricted, and the outdoor vent flap will open as it is supposed to. If you have gas dryers, make sure that those are inspected by a professional to make sure the gas line and the connection are intact and don't have any leaks. Turn the dryer off if you're going to be leaving home. I know it's kind of a convenience thing. If it's on you and you need to run errands, you want to leave that running, but not a good idea. And also, if you're using any type of detergent pods and those types of things, make sure that you're keeping them out of the reach of any young children. The garage area, make sure that you're keeping that clean. I know this example might seem a little bit extreme, but make sure that you are keeping that clean, that if you're storing any type of accelerants, gasoline, make sure that they are in the proper types of containers, and that they're stored properly along with any tools. Consider using a separate storage area, whether that's a shed away from the home. That would be a great idea, and also a good idea to keep a fire extinguisher in the garage as well. Just some general housekeeping tips. We want to remind you this is, we're going to be going back to daylight saving time this weekend. Change your clocks, change your batteries. That's kind of our slogan for that. So if you do have any battery operated 9-volt AA batteries in your smoke alarms, this would be a good time to go ahead and get those changed. You will not need to do that if you're using a 10-year lithium battery type smoke alarm. Also want to just check your home for any tripping hazards, rugs, extension cords, etc., or any objects that may cause you to have any types of trips or falls. Just make sure that you're going through your home and looking for things like that. Prescribed medications, keep those in a central location. It helps us to have that information if fire department first responders need to get to you. If there are medications that you take regularly, it would be helpful to have those in one place if the emergency responders need to have that information. Also, be sure that your home street address number is visible from the street. When first responders get there, it's going to be very imperative that they can locate your street address. Talked about fire extinguisher classes. Also, good idea is to learn how to do hands-only CPR. Once we resume our community education training, we will make that available to you if you would like to take a course on that. Also, a good idea to go ahead and plan and practice an escape plan from your home. We do have some tools that can help you do that. Be more than happy to get that information to you. But basically, it's going to entail you drawing a map of your home that shows all the windows and door exits. You want to make sure that you have 2 ways out of every room. Pick a meeting place that's going to be outside of the home, away from the house. Definitely want to talk to your family about what that escape plan is. Share that information if you're having overnight guests, if you're having a sleepover for your children. They all need to be aware of what that escape plan is. You want to practice that plan twice a year. You want to do it once in the daylight and once when it's dark. Things are different when you're trying to get out of a home and not being able to turn on a light. So make sure that you do that. If you have questions about how to do that, please contact me at 773-7965, or you can reach me at Sabrina S. at cityofwsfire.org. Does anyone have any questions? If not, we're going to turn things over to emergency management.
All right, good morning. I'm August Vernon with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Office of Emergency Management. We'll have 2 speakers today. The first speaker will be Mrs. Leah Cordell, one of our emergency management coordinators, to talk about Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Obviously, 2 weeks ago in North Carolina, we had ice storms and snow the same time we were having tornadoes in the state. So obviously that's an important topic. And then the next speaker will be Mr. Joshua Swift, the Public Health Director, who will talk about the current and ongoing COVID-19 response.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Leah Cordell with Forsyth County Emergency Management. And if you don't know already, this week is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. It started on Sunday and goes through Saturday. And we are planning to practice, encouraging people to practice what they do during severe weather preparedness. This morning at 9:30, hopefully most of you heard an emergency alert about the statewide tornado drill that took place at 9:30. I hope you were able to participate. If you were not, I hope you'll take the time to carve out a time and practice with your family what you would do during a tornado. So this time of, for the last year, there's been a lot of people that have been working from home. Students have been taking classes from home. So now is the perfect opportunity to prepare with your family and your children what you would do during a tornado and make sure that your family is always ready. So some of the things that we encourage you to do is review your communication plan, make sure that your all your numbers and information is up to date. Also create a plan where your family will go in the event of a tornado. So some of those places would be the lowest level of your house. If you have a basement, that would be great. Interiors with no windows are best. Basements, bathrooms, and closets are usually good options. Also, we encourage people to know the difference in a tornado warning versus a tornado watch. A tornado warning means that a tornado has been spotted or is touching ground right at the moment, so seek shelter immediately. Tornado watch means weather conditions are favorable to have a tornado, so be alert. Also, with tornadoes, there are flash flooding. We encourage people not to cross over roads or pathways that are covered in water. Turn around, don't drown is the slogan that we use. Don't forget that 6 inches of fast-moving water can make a person, it can knock over an adult, and 18 inches of flowing water can carry away most vehicles. So if you see flooding in the roadway, make sure you don't try to drive through them. Also, pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to local forecasts. Get weather alerts through the NOAA weather radio system, wireless emergency alerts. There are plenty of cell phone apps that you can download for free. Most iPhones come with the emergency alerts. And also, you can go to Forsyth County website and the City of Winston-Salem website and sign up to receive emergency alerts. Also, pay attention to your local forecasts, your social media, by Twitter and Facebook, and make sure you're using trusted sources for those. Also, make sure everyone in your house has a preparedness kit. Those things would be food, water, various first aid equipment, first aid manual, extra clothing, and don't forget your pets when you're assembling these preparedness kits. Are there any questions? Okay, next I will turn it over to Mr. Joshua Swift from the Forsyth County Public Health Department.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It seems like a long time ago, but it was just a year ago. Was here presenting on possible cases that we were of COVID-19, and it's been quite a year. So I'll just get started. I have to point it. Okay. First, I want to thank all the first responders and the medical community who've been through and are still going through this pandemic. I want to thank all the partners. I know emergency management, fire, police, sheriff's department that have helped us and are still helping us. Thank the public health staff. We have 240 staff, and virtually everyone in some shape or form has been there helping, whether it's answering phones and doing contact tracing, whether it's going out into the community to businesses to try to educate about the 3 W's, and whether now at our vaccine efforts and that partnership with the city at the education building at the fairgrounds. So just a brief update of where we are today. Right now, as of 3/9, we've had a total of 32,342 cases of COVID-19 in Forsyth County since the pandemic started. Our first 2 cases were March 11th. So this Friday will be that 1-year mark. Our cases over the last 14 days is 1,037, which makes our average cases per day 74. This is much less than between Thanksgiving and the New Year, when we were averaging 250 to 275 cases per day. And this next is the deaths. Since this started, we've had 350 deaths. Each week, multiple times a week, I report on that. But just, to take a moment to let that sink in, we've already, heard of the fallen officers and firefighters, but, this is 350 families that maybe didn't have someone at their house or they could go visit, maybe in a nursing home over Christmas, like Thanksgiving, this Easter, this Mother's Day, those uncles and aunts. I myself know of a person I went to high school with, just a year older than me, in his mid-40s, who passed. So it's affected all of us, and I think everybody in the community, whether maybe they know of someone that has had COVID or know of someone that has passed. So it's affected our community greatly. So COVID vaccines. Again, we're just in a year since this pandemic started, and it's so exciting to be able now to offer this vaccine. Our first vaccines came to the Department of Public Health December 22nd. Forsyth County was very fortunate. The week before, Wake Forest Baptist Health was one of the first hospitals in the nation to get the COVID vaccine. So to have this chance to roll out the vaccine to our community is amazing. It's amazing to see the attitudes of individuals that are coming through, and they're going to be able to get their life back. They're going to be able to go see grandkids soon. They're going to be able to go see family. So they're very excited about that. So since December 22nd, the Department of Public Health has administered 45,675 doses of the COVID vaccine. You can see the breakdown of first doses to second doses. And another thing, you can see just one of the reasons. This Miss Tate, she agreed to have her photo taken. Her shot, her reason was for her family. And others of them are child care providers or teachers. So there's police officers, other first responders doing it for their coworkers, for their family, for their community. So some more information about the COVID vaccine distribution. These statistics are for all of Forsyth County residents. That number I just shared with you that the health department has served of 45,000, roughly 75% of the people that we have served, either through the health department, at the health department, or at the education building, have been Forsyth County residents. This statistic is straight from the state's dashboard that shows the number of residents, whether they came to the health department, whether they came to our hospitals, or whether they went somewhere else, but they're Forsyth County residents that got the vaccine. And you can see when you look at the numbers, and this is percent of the population that's been vaccinated with at least their first dose, 10% of African Americans in our community have received a first dose, 17% of white residents, and then 4% of Hispanic residents. Then when you look at it further by age, just by age, you can see that 50% of those 65 to 74 years of age have gotten their vaccine. That was the group 2, one of those early groups that we started in early January. And then 75 plus is 55% of that group in Forsyth County has gotten their vaccine. And as of early this week, 58,850 Forsyth County residents have gotten their first dose. As you can see, we are currently in Group 3, which is frontline essential workers. We're still focusing on Groups 1 and 2, healthcare workers, long-term care residents and staff, as well as Group 2, which is older adults 65 and older. So we're continuing to work on that group. And as we move into Group 4, adults at higher risk and increased risk of severe illness, that group will start March 24th. So March 3rd, we moved fully into frontline essential workers. We had a week of just focusing on the public and private schools and child care workers. Now we're in Group 3, and as of March 24th, we will move into Group 4. So a little bit of information about the mass vaccination event that we have going on this weekend. This is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds through our education building. It's indoor. It's by appointment only. And we have filled up 8,400 appointments, 4 doses of Johnson & Johnson. This is the single-dose vaccine, and we're very excited. And this is a collaboration between the Public Health, Novant Health, Wake Forest Baptist Health. Also note that our community partners, emergency management, is very influential in this piece with helping with coordination. So it's just been, it's really exciting. This is all come together rather quickly. We were notified approximately 8 to 10 days ago that we would get this allocation, but for several weeks and several months we have been working together, all three, to come up with a plan, come up with a proposal to send to the state, and have things in place so if and when we got an allocation, we could move quickly. So last but not least, even though we're rolling out this vaccine, we have the 3 W's. We still need to be diligent because COVID is still out there. Yes, we're seeing less cases, but we're also seeing less testing. So some of that, but in the positive, we're seeing our lower percent positive. Our percent positive for Forsyth County is hovering at or around 5%, which is well below where it was early last summer and fall. But we still have to be diligent to wear the mask, wait 6 feet apart, continue washing our hands. So this is all of my presentation. I'd be happy to take questions. But before that, I would say again, I just appreciate, as I did on the first slide, all the partners that have helped us throughout this, the hospitals, the first responders, emergency management, just everybody that has come together in the community. It has been hard on this community, but I think it's going to make us a better community in the long run. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question for you. Just a couple. Is the Johnson & Johnson, I'm just seeing different headlines. Is the Johnson & Johnson less effective than Pfizer and Moderna?
Yeah, I think they're both. Well, what we've been telling people is the best vaccine is the vaccine that you can get. All three are as effective when it comes to hospitalizations, death, and serious illness. A lot of people are vaccine shopping, but when you look at the studies as far as those 3 metrics, death, illness, serious illness, and hospitalizations, they're all 3 the same.
Right, and then also too, just with my fellow media here, we were hearing that media is now in Group 3. Is that true under essential workers?
I would have to review that. I don't have it in front of me, so I would have to review that. I don't have that information.
Okay, just because when I was going through, I think it was the Find My Vaccine, the eligibility website where you can kind of see where you fall. I did notice when I was just trying to see if I could, get a vaccine, I believe it was through Wake Forest Baptist Health, media was actually one of the options.
Okay.
So that's why I would love if you guys could maybe just put something out, or if that is, like you said, it's more you need to review. That would just be nice to kind of know if that is true. I'm just hearing different things, so I just want to hear it accurately from the health department.
Yeah, what we would encourage individuals to do is go to our website, and you can go to forsyth.cc COVID update, and you can do the deeper dive where you can look at Group 3, which it gets into frontline essential workers. That could be a grocery store, that could be fast food, other food industry. It could be, I've seen clergy in that list. So there's lots of educators, faculty and staff. So there's lots of individuals in that list, and I don't have the list off the top of my head.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joshua. And just FYI, when you hear those guidelines, they sometimes change almost on a daily and weekly basis because we kind of look at what the state and the Centers for Disease Control is providing as far as guidance, and that does sometimes change on a pretty regular basis. It could be changing while we're standing here right now. So again, thank you for everyone coming today, and I do want to reiterate, we appreciate all the hard work that's happened these past very challenging 12 months. The next Public Safety News Conference is May 12th, 2021 at 10 a.m., same location. Thank you very much.